Lithium Ionic is a hard rock spodumene hosted deposit in Brazil, in the Minas Gerais state. It's directly next door to Sigma Lithium. Can I get this moving? Oh, there it goes. It's roughly 14,000 hectares. Like I said, directly next door to the soon-to-be producing Sigma Lithium, and directly south of a private producing lithium company called CBL, one of only the two producing lithium companies in Brazil. Minas Gerais being the most important, if not one of the most important, mining jurisdictions in Brazil. And this particular belt is known as the East Brazilian Pegmatite Belt, and represents some of the most important pegmatite regions in the world, analogous to Western Australia, and certainly has been worked for over 100 years for dimension stone, gemstone. It actually produces almost all of the world's gemstones. So particularly interesting for the scale and quality of the pegmatites that are formed there, and of course the spodumene that comes with some of those deposits as well. And so really a unique high-grade hard rock lithium opportunity. An amazing team with over 40 years of experience in the state, and I'll touch on them in a little bit, aiming for a mineral resource in Q2 of this year. We're about 20,000 meters into a 30,000 meter drill program, and we intend to have roughly a 20 million ton, 1.5% resource before the end of the first half of this year. So very, very exciting times. And then on that, this region is known also for expedited permit process. So looking at a project that would be scaled something in the 200 to 250,000 tons of concentrate, we could look at sort of an 18 to 24 month timeline on permitting a project like that, which is obviously much quicker than a lot of our peer group, and something that we think we can be able to catch the cycle now that we're seeing in the lithium space. Additionally, we're looking at an opportunity to do a small scale production opportunity that essentially doesn't require full EIA and feasibility. It would allow us to produce roughly 50,000 tons of concentrate per annum, and that permit would have us starting that production as early as next year. So, of course, being in a unique world-class belt, high grade, spodumene hosted, very high quality is important, unbelievable team, and now our speed that we can actually come to market with this material separates us from a lot of our peer group as well. So speed and scale is sort of the theme of all of it. Roughly a $250 million company. The news from Liontown last night is sort of moving everybody back up again, so we're watching what's happening there. But certainly the market has been good for the lithium space, and this is sort of fitting exactly what the market's looking for in that scale and speed, scale and speed that we're able to bring. I talked a little bit about Minas Gerais already. Reduced encumbrance on taxes, reduced bureaucracy, ease of access to port. Infrastructure here is unbelievable. Road access and paved roads, hydroelectric power to site, easy access to port. It's kind of the ideal location if you were trying to build a project near a town of roughly 40,000 people called Araçuaí, and about an 8-hour drive from Belo Horizonte, which is about a 3.5 million person town. So very, very easy to service the project as well. Talked a lot about the belt already, the East Brazilian Pegmatite Belt that runs right through our project area called Itinga, and into a new area that we've just acquired called the SALINAS region, which is actually where lithium, Latin resources, is located, and I'll show you that on coming slides. Focusing in on the Itinga belt, this is directly adjacent to Sigma Lithium. It's also to the south of CBL. So we've got a producer and proof of concept and how the rocks are going to behave metallurgically, how they're going to be handled at a chemical plant. That's produced for over 30 years as a small family-run production scenario. And of course, we have proof of concept for construction costs, permit timelines, and obviously, just being able to complete a project like this because it's directly next door. So really everything you'd want to see around it in a prolific belt, absolutely swarmed by spodumene bearing pegmatites. You have a look at our relationship to CBL. It's also a good image to show there's no real land use issues. They're not making an extra virgin olive oil here or a very fine Pinot Noir. This is a scrub brush area, kind of ideal for open pit or underground mining. And then up in the Salinas region, this is a new acquisition from us. So Latin Resources has a 13.5 million ton resource and growing, in between 1 and 1.5%. Very high quality material, hosted by the same plumbing sources that the Itinga belt is, and certainly part of that prolific East Brazilian pegmatite belt. And we've picked up the ground directly surrounding and essentially touching their main mineral resource. So we'll be mobilizing rigs there and continuing to expand on some of the pegmatites that have already been delineated in the area. And we think we can grow a lot of value there. Latin Resources is roughly a $300 million company with those 13 million tons. We're about a $300 million company, we think, by drilling some of these the showings that we know of, and from the drilling that was already done on the property, we can unlock at least $300 to $400 million of value on an additional property, so that we're not even getting credit for at this time. Just a little bit of a close-up of that. You can see how close to that resource from Latin Resources is to our showings in the Salinas belt. And we're certainly very, very excited to continue on the drilling that was done there. Previously, very limited work done to this point. We're looking to be a lot more aggressive in our drill phasing. But again, excellent grade, great widths, and the opportunity to grow resources there very, very quickly. Primarily focused at drilling in an area called Bandera, which is sandwiched between Sigma's Barreiro showing and CBL's production. And we also have another area called Galvani, which is quite a wide, very high-grade zone that is where we're focusing on our early stage development idea, where we could move about 50,000 tons of concentrate per annum. Again, in current market, that's worth about $250 million revenue per annum from a project that we could essentially build for about $10 million. So the project economics on these things are pretty spectacular. Bandera is where we're focusing most of our drilling now. This is where we're going to put the bigger resource together. We think about 15 to 20 million tons. And that would certainly represent our production scenario, where we're looking at roughly 200,000 tons of concentrate per annum. Again, that's over $1 billion of revenue for a company with about $150 million market cap attached to that. So unbelievable economics on that. Look at the core, so you believe that we're drilling. And other than that, the concept and the idea is very much like phase one of what Sigma had put out. And that really is to be able to get a project up and running by 2025 that is scaled for about 200,000 tons of concentrate per annum, plus about 50,000 tons from Galvani, and then any additional growth we've seen from some of our other properties along the way, which we're going to continue to see. And those projects, even at discounted spodumene pricing, call it $2,000 spod pricing, which is less than half of what it is now, still represent $2 billion projects, $2 billion NPV projects with 400% to 500% post-tax IRRs. So that's where we're going to get to. And we're in the process of drilling to that point, but should be very, very exciting over the coming years. I've already gone through this, but 30,000 meter drill program underway. We're about 20,000 meters through it. Catalyst being resource coming. Studies coming behind that. Environmental and baseline work already began over a year ago. So now it's just the process of trying to get our limited scale production scenario up and running at Galvani, and then submit for our full mining permit at Bandera as well, which we would look to produce in 2025, ultimately beating most of our competitors by almost 5 years. And that's really it. High grade, unique region, analogous to Western Australia, completely underexplored for lithium. We've got proof of concept all around us, an aggressive drill program underway, many catalysts coming along the road here. Started out as a company in May of last year. We were a 70-cent company. We've reached as high as $3. We think we're going to continue to grow from there. So still a lot of torque in the name. And that's it. Thank you very much.